let's say we find the equivalent of this.
And cut. That's a wrap, baby. All right, cut. Guys,
Uh,
are you kidding me? Are you getting this? Look at this. They're getting cut. That's what happens when you
yes,
put
the
too much.
equations
My
will be
God.
provided.
Get out of here.
The equations and those tables will be definitely provided. So no worries
You know
about
we're
that.
making a porno.
Uh, the equations for this section, I should emphasize on this one. So let's say that you found the net present value for the first 8 years, and then you repeat it one more time. Let me add a text box here, 0. This is one more time. Your 0, then we will have 8, and then another time we will do it to 16. Yep. So repeating the representation of this cash flow, which is these brown or orange arrows, is exactly repeating the cash flow. So you can do both of them. You can basically repeat the same cash flow 3 times, or you can repeat the net present value 3 times. Both of them will come to one answer. Uh, like I said, equations related to engineering economics part, I should say that equations related to engineering economics and economic appraisal. All of them, all necessary equations will be provided. Again, related to economic appraisal and engineering economics. Yes, yes. So here is the idea. Anybody has any problem with that? Anybody has any problem with the idea of repeating the net present value instead of just repeating the cash flow? In this way, you will be less prone to making mistakes. Okay, if you had any question, please raise your hand. Please talk. Turn on your microphone. Let's talk. So again, we will have we'll do the same for B. We will do the same for C, and then we can just basically analyze and compare those net present values together. So it's going to be exactly similar to your assignments. So this is the idea. This was the engineering economy in 2019. In 2021, we had another question. Some times ago, a young engineer obtained a mortgage at a 12% interest rate for a total of $52,000. She has to pay 240 more monthly payments of like 534 $8 something. As interest rates are going down, she inquires about the conditions under which she could refinance the mortgage. Okay, so let's say, what does the question ask from us? If the bank charges an origination fee of 2% of the amount to be financed, and if the bank and the engineer agree that the fee will be paid by combining the fee with the refinanced mortgage, okay, seems a little bit complex, but we will talk about it. It's not. What percentage rate would make refinancing her mortgage attractive if the new mortgage terms require 120 payments? So basically, it's finding a minimum attractive rate of return, something like that. It's finding that interest rate for two different cash flows. So let's talk about it and let's see what this question wants from us. So present value. present worth of 240 monthly payments which you are left will be like 534. Yeah, we know that. Using the equation that we want to find the present value based on the annual or monthly payments with 1% and 240 months. So, why 1%? Because it's 12% interest rate annually. And you can also think about it that 12% monthly is so uh, mm, like unrealistic. No one, like 12% and monthly is unbelievably huge. So it should be 1% on a monthly basis. This 12% interest rate is provided for each year. Also, as I remember in the first and the only class that we had in this semester together, some of you asked whether this is the compound or we can just use the simplified. Just write down your assumption, and both of them will be okay. You will get your result based on your assumption. So now we know that the present worth of the first cash flow is this number. I'm not going to write it. Let's talk about it like this colored. So the new loan fee is gonna have 22% to be refinanced. Okay, and the cost will be $971. Okay, and the total amount to refinance is the sum of these two numbers. Okay, now the lady, the engineer, let me check. Uh, Okay, in here you can see that the fee will be paid by combining the fee with the refinanced mortgage. The mortgage is here. The 2% of the first money. Okay, that is not clear? I don't know. Like, or maybe I'm missing something. What is vague here? What is not clear here?
I'm not sure which value to times the 2%. Whether it's the present worth or the total of the mortgage that she owned.
Uh, Let me see. Uh, okay, this $52,000 is basically useless in this question. As you can see, this number has never been used. This the question talks about she has to pay 240 more, like more monthly payments of each. Like they are talking about the remainder of the mortgage. They are not talking about the original amount of money. So they are talking about the remainder of the mortgage, the refinanced mortgage. Is that clear? Okay. So the new monthly payments are uh, 49 $49,000 something, using the equation to find the monthly payments using the present value with I% and 120 months. Uh, so the idea is that this number let me make it clear. This the green number should be less than the old one. So we just basically put it in this equation and we try using different types of I, and using the interpolation we can find the final answer. Sometimes you may find sometimes like the previous question, the interval of your like testing is provided. Let me bring it here. It's like 10% and 15%. It was already given. The range was given. But in your question, it's okay if you have different types of range for yourself, and for different ranges you will definitely get different numbers, and it is okay as long as you follow the correct procedures and as long as you do the calculations correctly. So this is also quite similar to the previous one. There was another question in the engineering economy section in 2021. uh, so the computer system used for production and administration control at the large precast concrete company is being considered for replacement. Okay, they want to replace the computer. Okay. Of the available replacement systems, Challenger 1 has been considered the best. Okay. However, it is anticipated that after 1 year, the Challenger 2 model will become available with significant technological modifications. Okay. The salvage value projection for the three systems are summarized, assuming that the performance of all three would otherwise be comparable. Okay. Should we replace the existing system here either this year or next year? Assume that the minimum attractive rate of return equals 12% and the useful life is 5 years in all cases. Uh, so this question has one key important uh, idea behind it, and that idea we didn't have this idea in the assignments, and that idea is that you need to find the economic life of each uh, option for each years. So for example, uh, let's say for the existing computer, what will be the economic life? Does anybody have any idea how to find the economic life? Anyone here? How to find the economic life? Because if we have the expected life, yes, we have the useful life. That's okay, but uh, useful life is different from economic life. So let me make you an example and let make it clear for you what is the concept of economic life. So imagine that you bought a car. Cars need annual maintenance every year. But the problem is that perhaps after 5 years or after 6 years, the annual maintenance will be too expensive for your car. Yes, you can use perhaps, I don't know, a Porsche for 30 years or even 50 years. Yes, the useful life is 50 years. But it wouldn't be economically wise to keep a car more than 10 years, more than 7 years. You need to find the economic life for comparing these options. So how can we find the economic life? Let's say that for the example of the car, you should have an idea that, okay, how much can I sell this car? What is the salvage value of this car at year three? If I keep this car for 3 years, how much money am I basically paying every year, which is called capital recovery. Again, you do that for year four, you do that for year five, and the minimum capital recovery will be the economic life of that tool, that machine. So let's say for the example one, you have invested $20,000. Okay, that's okay, and the salvage value will be like $16,000. Fine. The capital recovery, you will find the capital recovery. Again, you do that for the year two, you do that for the year three, and you find the capital recovery. The equation is already provided in the slides. This is basically find the annual equivalent based on present value and future value. And for option one, for the existing computer, the economic life is 4 years, right? Because uh, the capital recovery corresponding to keeping the existing computer for 4 years is the minimum among all other capital recoveries. Okay, once you have the economic life, then you can basically, it will be the expected life of these options, and like all other assignments, all other examples that we have already covered, you can also just do other like conventional and equal, draw the cash flows, repeating the cash flows, and then finding the net present value or other like forms, whatever you are fine with them, and then do the comparison. Okay, I'm not gonna do the calculation here. I just wanted to talk about the key point in this question. We have four more uh, a minimum capital recovery. You, yeah, you will not. Okay, you cannot get the minimum capital recovery. You have to calculate the capital recovery. Okay. Uh, so uh, let me make an example here. Just give me a few. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna just just give me a few minutes. I want to make sure that I'm doing something, doing everything correctly. Uh, uh, okay, let me send you all the calculation later. I will send it through like email, so everybody will be aware of this calculation. Or just give me a few minutes. Just let me find this solution, because I want to make sure that what I tell you is exactly what in line with the solution that was provided for the exam. Not to make you unnecessarily. Yep, yeah, 5 minutes break is sounds good. Okay, this is 331. And Giovanni, are you here? Yes, okay. So the idea is that you need to find the annual representation of the cash flow. What is the cash flow? There will be an investment here. The investment is $20,000. Okay. And then at the end of year one, you're gonna sell it. You can sell it at $16,000. So how are we gonna have to find the annual representation? Yeah, for 1 year it's just only one. But the point is that it will be $20,000 minus $16,000, and we find the present value of its future worth with 12% and only one period. And then for this whole number, we find the annual representation based on the present worth, 12% and 1 year. For year two, it will be 20,000 minus 30,000, 13K. Again, the same equation. Is it clear now? Okay, perfect. So, so this is basically the engineering economics. Nothing much different. There was only one idea that was economic life. Mm, you will know it if you need to find the economic life in the exam. And another key point was that please don't forget to repeat the cash flows. Instead of repeating the details of the cash flow, you can repeat the net present values. No, short answer is no. Economic life is like that the year that into expected life. Uh, uh, you can say that. You can somehow say that, but they are not exactly equivalent. But in this question, it is. You can say something like that. And the economic life for option one is 4 years. Perhaps for the option two will be 3 years. Who knows that? And then you do it for the other options as well. But you will know it if you need to find the economic life in the exam, so no worries about it. We are running out of time. Let me go to the next ones. This is the first section, the engineering economics. The next one is scheduling. The scheduling questions during the past 3 years were exactly similar to the assignments. Nothing new, nothing like hard, exactly like the assignments. So uh, there was one table in the about the project, about the activities, the predecessors, optimistic duration, pessimistic duration, normal duration, and again, crash duration and crash cost. Okay, we can find it. Okay, let's do it. Let's go and see what's the question wants from us. What is the expected time and variance for each task? The equations were provided in the slides. This is simple. This is based on assumption that yes, the expected time is optimistic plus pessimistic plus 4 times of the normal duration over 6, and then the standard deviation is also the equations are all already provided in the exam. There is nothing basically uh, like let's say new. You have already done it if you did the assignments by yourself. Next part says that draw the network, either activity on arrow or activity on network, and find the critical path and time based on the normal duration. Yeah, we also did this exactly uh, in the class, also in the assignments. Again, nothing new. Uh, I'm personally a fan of uh, you tell me activity on network. So you just put the activities, draw the arrows, and then it starts by filling the early starts, an early finish, go to the end, and then come back. We already did it. There is basically no point in doing it again and saying it here. You have the classes recorded. You can go to them. So I don't want to just waste your time now. What is the total float, free float, and a slope for each task based on the normal duration? So, can anybody tell me what is the total float and what is the free float? Anyone? You can Google it if you want. There is a difference between total float and free float. Yeah, I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds to just, even if you want, Google it because I want to make sure that you know the difference. No one? Okay, let me tell you the difference. One of them is late finish minus early finish. Another one is late start. No, sorry, early finish minus early start. Am I right? Am I right, guys? Please help me. You don't know this? No one. I'm gonna ask someone to just open up the microphone. Uh, look to Nazirite Wong. Can you please turn on your microphone and tell me what are the difference between total float and free float? Okay, seems no one is gonna answer me. Uh, it's okay. You can find this concept in the slides. Uh, go ahead. One of them is only for one activity. Another one relates to two activities. So go ahead, read and study the slides clearly and look at the details, pay attention to details, and understand the differences. Even if you could basically just during these past 2 to 3 minutes Google it and answer me, but okay, if you didn't, then I will not also talk about it. And about the slope, the slope is called again, the equation is provided in the class in the slides. It's called crash cost minus normal cost over crash time minus normal time. Can anybody tell me what is the intuition behind this slope? Anyone? Hello? Yep. Chi Chong. Yes, exactly. Exactly. How much cost is worth is should be spent for crashing 1 unit of time? Exactly. Thank you. Thanks for attending and for answering the question. That's the intuition behind the slope. So If you have the intuition, if you know the intuition behind this one, it's gonna be uh, easy. So let's say you have asked a contractor to paint your place, paint your house, and the contractor tells you that it's gonna take me 10 days and you're gonna have to pay me, like, let's say 20K Hong Kong dollars. And but you are in a hurry and you want to do it in 8 days. You ask the contractor, how much money are you gonna ask me if you were supposed to finish the painting in 8 days? So that's the concept. The concept is so easy. Don't just memorize the formula. This is the concept. How much money or how much more money are you gonna charge me for finishing the job early per day or per unit of time? So simply you find the slope, no problem. And yep. And the last part is based on the normal duration. Please calculate the minimum total time with the lowest extra cost using linear programming. Just show the equations. Again, this part is identical to the part that was provided in the slides. Study the slides carefully and pay attention to the details. So uh, let's see what we can do. What should we do? Let me bring up this table here. Let's talk about it. So what will be the objective function? The objective function is tells us that how much money should we basically put on activities to accelerate them. And also we want to minimize this investment. We don't want to overspend our money. We usually have a limited budget. So YA is the number of crash days for activity A, and 400 is the slope for YA. So basically, if we want to crash activity A for 1 day, we have to pay 400. We want to do it for 2 days, we're going to have to spend 800. That's why we wanted to find a slope. And similarly, we write it for all other activities. Well, we need to have the slope for all of them. For example, for activity M, we have like 266.7 for 67 times ym. But activity H cannot be crashed and is not also provided in the objective function. This is the objective. There will be 3 sets of limitations. Amount of time activity I can be crashed. We cannot crash and like, let's say that the contractor that came to your place to paint your house, yeah, he might be able to paint your place in 8 days, but it is impossible to paint a whole like flat in 1 day. So we need to remember that the days that can be crashed can be reduced, should be minimum or equal to like their maximum amount. So back to the first table, for example, for activity A, the normal duration is 10 days. The crash duration is 8 days. It is impossible to do it in 5 days. So the maximum number of days that it can be crashed is 2 days. So this is related to the first set of objectives. You need to remember that, and you need to just you need to remember the idea behind it. Again, we have another set of limitation. It is called earliest finish time for activity I. So Uh, can anybody tell me what does this condition, what does this limitation mean? What is the idea? The idea is similar to the previous one, that the duration of activity A cannot be more than like the crash duration of activity A. If you want to crash it for 1 day, or if you want to crash it in 2 days, the duration has to be greater or equal to 0 plus 10 minus YA. This is the number of crash days. But let's talk about uh, this is the earliest finish of each activity. Let's talk about, for example, another activity. Let's say J, for example. Let's find the J here. J is here. These are related to J. So J, 3 arrows are connected to J. So the earliest time of like finishing the activity J has to be done after B. This is the first one. Like once the B is finished, X of B is uh, corresponds to the earliest finish time of activity B. Once activity B is finished, we can crash it for YJ days, and the whole duration, whole earliest finish time uh, will be equal to earliest finish time of the previous activity plus the duration minus the uh, crash days. Let me write a template here, so perhaps make it a little bit more clear for you guys. So x of let's say something like x of activity should be greater or equal to x of previous activity plus duration minus possible crash x. So all of these formula here represent are related to uh, are exactly uh, instances of this equation for all activities, and you need to write all of them without like missing one of them. And finally, the xi and y, the durations and the crash dates cannot be negative. So 3 sets of limitations. The first one is about the number of crash dates. The second one is about the earliest finish time. And the third one is about the non-negativity condition. So it is also covered in this slide. There is another example in this slide. It is exactly similar to that to the example provided in this slide. Anybody has any question here? No question. Okay. Are we allowed to use lingo for linear? Oh, no. You don't need to find it. You don't need to find the answer. You don't. You just have to write the equations. That's all important. After that, it's just basically putting it in the software and getting the result. No need to do that in the exam. In 2020, there was another question, so we don't need to calculate. No. You don't need to do that. You definitely don't need to do that. You just need to just read the equation here. just show the equation. That's it. Just show the equations. So in 2020, there was another scheduling problem, and again, what is the critical path? It is already talked about in the assignments. What is the project duration and cost for all normal level of project activity? Okay, again, we can do that. This is basically the same and nothing really different. In 2021, again, we had another scheduling problem. Uh, Again, the same, nothing serious, nothing new, and nothing to be afraid of. So, but for example, in 2021, uh, there were two questions, like part A, part B, and part A was one question, part B was another one. So uh, again, we had these defined variables, objective function, and we like just basically covered it. And yep, this is it. So this is the scheduling problem. This is and we have another set of questions related to decision theory. Let's just have a very short break, 3 to 2 minutes, like 3 to 4 minutes break, and then talk about decision theory problems. Okay, let's continue and let's see what was the type of the questions in the decision theory problem. So in 2019 we had a question. So let me tell you something here that you need to be extremely careful about every single detail that is provided in these questions, because like a scheduling or like the next part, project monitoring, they are template problems. Once you know how to solve the problems that are covered in the slides and are presented in the assignments, uh, you will 100% be able to solve the problems in the exam as well. But in the decision theory, there are tons of areas for like having something new, having something, an idea, and you need to read the questions carefully to understand it. If you don't understand the question, you can come up with wrong answers. And please don't come and like to talk about your grades after the exam and tell me that you had another understanding and a different understanding of the questions. You have to have the correct understanding. Otherwise, the rest of it is basically doing basic mathematics. The basic mathematics is useless. You need to understand the concept of the and the details of the question. So, let's read the question and let's see what was in the question two in 2019. A company is considering maintaining the existing equipment or purchasing a new one. Okay, we have two options. That's okay, fine by me. So we have two options. If they choose to maintain the existing equipment, they have to pay 20K for maintenance at maintenance cost now. The annual cost is expected to be $7,000 with with a zero point 0.6 probability, or 8K with a zero point 0.4 probability. Okay, got it. So the annual our expectation of the annual cost will be like finding the expected values. Zero point 0.6 times 7K plus zero point 0.4 times 8K. Yeah, we will do it later on, but it's okay. The salvage value is expected to be $6,000 with a zero point 0.7 probability, or $8,000 with this 0.3 probability. Again, we need to find the expected value. Nothing really serious here. If they sell the existing equipment now, they could get 12K, which could be used to cover the initial cost of the new one. Okay, okay. There are three possible setups can be purchased. Machine X. I want to talk about only one of them. Its price is 445K. There is a zero point 0.4 probability that the annual cost is 4K and the salvage value is 8.5. There is also a zero point 0.6 probability that the annual cost is 5K and the salvage value is 9.5. Okay, okay. Let's see what are these two options. Let's see what was the solution. Okay. Let's only and only talk about the option X here. If the company choose to buy machine X, initial cost will be 45K. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me now? It says that my connection is poor now. I don't know why it's wrong with my internet. I don't know about that. Yeah, okay, perfect. So if the company choose to buy machine X, initial cost will be like $45,000. Okay, the $45,000 was provided. And it was also emphasized that if you sell it, it could be used to cover the initial cost. So if you want to buy machine X, We already have sold the previous machine. So the initial cost is 33K. Okay. For the point 0.4 probability, we find the cash flow, the initial cost, the annual cost, and plus the salvage value. Again, similar, nothing different. For the point 0.6 probability, uh, again, 33K initial cost, annual costs, and then a salvage value. And finally, you need to find the expected value of it. So it is basically the decision theory in 2019. It is basically a small, simple type of decision theory. Uh, but then you can do it, and you need to also draw. I'm not sure whether it was written or not. Oh yes, at the end, uh, it was somehow said that please use the decision tree method to clarify it. You need to draw a decision theory. One option is to maintain the existing machine. Okay, you will find the net present value of that one, or selling the machine. If we sell it, we can buy machine X, we can buy machine Y, we can buy machine Z. And for each one of them, it was provided point 0.4 for uh, 0.4 for 40% probability. We will end up with minus 45K. With 60% probability, we will end up with minus 49K again, and the expected outcome will be minus 47. So nothing really complex here. The only complex problem, the only important problem in these types of questions is the correct understanding. I have had the experience before that students come to us and complain about their grade, that yeah, I did that. Uh, my mm, I got some part of the question, but no, it is simple mathematics operation. There will be no exception. You have to have the correct understanding of the questions. Otherwise, no point. Sure, of course, of course. Uh, so as far as I remember, I'm not. You need to fact check it, but let me tell you. Uh, rectangle. The triangles are used for the final outcome. Let me write it here. Triangle for final nodes or outcomes. A square for decision nodes, circles for outcome. Expected or outcome, yes, expected outcome nodes. So as you can see, uh, all final nodes are triangle. This is the standard, by the way. All final nodes are triangle. The square, the squares are used, the square is used for showing the options. So in the beginning, we have the option of maintaining or selling. If we sell it, if we sell it, we have the option of choosing machine X, Y, or Z. Okay? But once we buy machine X, We don't have any other option. We have only outcome, the expected outcome. Is it clear? Paul by Wong. My pleasure. So you simply need to draw it, and that's it. Let's go to the next one and see what is the next question. So the need to transport unprocessed corrosive multi-phase well stream has increased interest in clad corrosion resistant alloy. This is basically a story, nothing really serious here. As an alternative to installing inhibited carbon steel. Okay, we have two choices. Got it. Handling handling unprocessed corrosive fluids then raises the issues of reliability, safety, and the costs of possible failures. Okay. Now, a company is considering using carbon steel or clad pipeline. Okay, two options. We have two options. For a 10-mile, 6-inch OD offshore pipeline, okay, the cost of carbon steel pipeline is 10 million and the cost of the clad pipeline is 25 million. Seems reasonable. For the clad pipeline, there is a 1% probability of a single event or multiple events, which may lead to an extra cost of $50 million. For carbon steel, there is a 20% probability of a single event or multiply events, which may lead to an extra cost of $75 million. Refer to the figure below. Justify which material you would recommend based on uh, expected utility, assuming that utility values is the square of the costs. So let me guide you through these type of questions. These type of questions that need you to explain stuff. Some students think this is not my first time being the TA. I should tell you that I've been TA for many years. Some students think that if they write large, like they write a whole page, they can get more points. They can possibly achieve a higher grade. It's not the case. You need to highlight the most important parts. Also, if you write unnecessarily long answers, uh, yeah, we are all humans. We all make mistakes, and it can be make it a little bit ambiguous to me or any other person who is gonna read your answers. So please try to write concise and to the point instead of just writing two A4 pages for answering this question. I will guarantee you that writing unnecessarily, this is a tactic and a strategy. I have been a student once and I know these strategies. It won't work. This is just, instead try to focus on the important parts, try to discuss it clearly and highlight the important parts. Let's see what was the solution provided by Dr. Shu. Uh, so the first point need to be highlighted is that if we just consider the direct cost, carbon steel pipeline is better than the clad pipeline because it's cheaper, right? This is just 1 point, point one. Point two, if we consider the potential cost resulting from the single or multiple failures, uh, again, nothing really complex here. The total cost for carbon steel will be 25. And for the clad pipeline, the total cost, or say it will be 25.5. Still, the carbon steel pipeline is better, right? So this is another point, point two. Point three, if we consider the risk preference and the severe issues of reliability and safety of possible failures, a man who is risk averse may choose clad pipeline. while a man who is risk seeking choose carbon steel. Point three, the third part is talking about the concept of risk. So you need to highlight the concept of risk. What if we only the point one was about what if we only consider the initial cost. Point two, what is uh, uh, point two is about highlighting the expected cost, and the point three is about considering the utility for different types of people. The figure shows you risk seeking, risk averse, risk neutral, and finally, there is another discussion. In the case that the decision maker is an environmentalist, the clad pipeline would be preferable to carbon steel pipeline. The water, animals, plants, then some stories about environment. The story is important. The story itself, the detail of the story is not important, but your understanding of the problem, because it was really highlighted that a lot of it was like the whole story here that it will have reliability issue, safety issue, environmental issue. You just need to talk about it, that if someone really is concerned about the environmental aspects, so uh, this has to be also considered in the decision making. That's it. I just want to give you the idea of how to write for it. This explanation is already long. But do you know why Dr. Shu provides this type of long explanation? To cover most of the explanations provided by the students. Again, if I or anyone else wants to grade your papers, he or she is gonna consider these 4 points or the main points in your answer. So please highlight these points. Please try to make it clear for everybody so you can gain probably a higher grade. Next one. In 2020, we have another question. A dam is being considered to reduce river flooding in the Kowloon River Basin. Okay. Information considering the possible alternative is given in table 1. Okay, we have this one. Okay. Which dam height minimizes the expected total annual cost? Assume that the interest rate is 5% for flood protection projects and all dams must last 50 years. That's fine. Uh, let's talk about it for all of them. So it is highlighted in the exam that you need to find the expected total annual cost. Okay, it is very clear, right? You need to find the expected total annual cost. And then you need to find the formula of finding the annual cost based on like present or future values. You have the interest rate, you have the periods, nothing really serious here. And then uh, you will have, you will find all of these numbers, simple, really simple, like calculations, and then say to minimize annual cost, build the 30-meter dam. Okay, but for example, if a similar question like the previous one, a discussion forum was asked here, you need to talk about, yeah, if the dam breaks down with 1% probability, thousands and or even millions of people will die, and like, or it's gonna have like environmental consequences and similar stuff. Uh, don't forget the environmental point is a very important thing in the discussion forum questions. Another one, polio company whose earning put earning, yeah, okay. I don't know how to read this question. It's just maybe I copied it in a bad way, but anyway, whose earning is like uh, Polyu has earning and put it in the 35% marginal tax bracket. It's considering the purchase of a new piece of equipment for 25K. Okay. The equipment will be depreciated by using the straight line method over a 4-year depreciable life to salvage value of $5,000. And it is estimated that the equipment will increase the company's earnings by $8,000 for each of the 4 years it is used. Should the equipment be purchased after tax, use an interest rate of 10%. Uh, in this question, this is a slightly different. This is just want to again make you think about this question. And this is also the standard way of finding tax values. During the course and during the assignments, the tax was like another percent, and you just had to just sum up all of it together and find a final like interest rate. But in here, it is a little bit different. It is also the way that they use tax in the industry. The taxable income is income minus depreciation. The question is already provided this information for you. So let's say that the polyu is gonna spend $25,000. Okay, it was highlighted in here, and the company's earning will be $8,000 for the 4 years that it will be used. Okay, so we're gonna buy it by $8,000. We'll use it for 4 years. Okay, and at the end, the salvage value will be $5,000, right? In 4 years, how much is it gonna be depreciated? Each year using the straight line method, it's gonna be 4 years. Uh, if you remember, there were 3 methods for finding the depreciation amount. Uh, can anybody tell me what was those 3 uh, depreciation methods? Straight line. There were 2 others, and one of them had a very important, uh, like a critical point about it. Do you remember that one? Yes. What was really important about it? That the value after depreciation cannot be less than the salvage value. Okay, let me tell you what is the concept behind this. Imagine, put yourself in the shoes of a tax officer in the government, and you receive a report from a company that they claimed that their machine is depreciated, and its value is, let's say, $0.5 million. But you are an expert in the business, and you know that this machine is like, let's say, 1 million is worth $1 million. Companies try to reduce their taxes, but the government wants to maximize its taxes. So the point is that the depreciation amount, like the machine, the depreciation value cannot be less than the salvage value. That's the only point. And let's fill out the table. We'll have 8 year $8,000. Okay, the depreciation amount like is $5,000 per year. Okay, taxable income. What is taxable income? Taxable income is the income minus depreciation. Like, it will be like simply like that. You will have $8,000 minus $5,000. What is the idea? As a company, you tell the government that, yeah, although I made $8,000, but my stuff, my equipment has got old and I indirectly spent $5,000. So I need to be taxed lower. The 35% will be uh, applied to the taxable income, and the taxes will be $1,050. Finally, the total amount of money that the company needs to pay, how much is it? How much is the total revenue? How much is the total income? So the company directly earns $8,000 and directly pays $1,050. The profit will be $6,950. As simple as that. Using the net present value minus 25 plus $6,950. Find the present worth, and then after 4 years, they're gonna sell it. Finding the present worth, again using using the interest rate, and then because the net present value is positive, then let's purchase it. Any question and any problem with this question? Okay, like I said, that the 35%, the tax, we need to find the taxable income. Let me write it here. Times $3,000. Is it or am I doing the calculation wrong? It should be, but let me check. Yes. This is it. Okay. Now let me tell you that what do they do in the real life and in the industry? Usually, because people try to minimize their taxes. Imagine that you have a company. I'm not saying that you should do it, but I'm saying that what people do in the industry. Usually, people try to maximize their expenditure, their indirect expenditure, to minimize their taxable income. They say that, yeah, for example, they bought a new car, they bought some tables, they did some repair in the company or some stuff. They want to reduce their taxable income. For example, let's say that the Hong Kong government wants to get the taxes, or like, I'm not talking about Hong Kong government, or because I'm not aware of the rules and laws here, but like say a government wants to get taxes from the companies. It is unfair to get the taxes from the direct income. We need to, the direct earnings. We need to find the like the equivalent of the taxable income and apply the taxes on the taxable income. And the companies try to maximize their depreciation amount, their other expenditures, to minimize the taxable income and then to reduce the taxes. Got the idea? Have you heard about it before? You probably have heard about it before. This is one of the ways that people try to like pay less taxes. This is a common thing. Next question. Polly is trying to decide. Okay, it's already 2 hours. I was supposed to talk for only 19 minutes. Let's finish it. Again, In 2020, we had another question, another decision tree. Nothing really serious, nothing really important. You just have to uh, make the question clear for yourself. So draw the decision tree, just draw it whatever you like, however you like it, and then uh, yeah, find out the ultimate and final results. Uh, in 2021, there was a question. There was quite a long question, a very very long question, and the decision tree was quite big actually. Uh, it is not really again too complex. You just have to be careful and focus on the details. Okay, let's move on from this part, but you got the whole idea. It is not going to be something really uh, like different. Let's move to the next one, project monitoring. uh, Project monitoring, mm, sorry about is not also really something complex, but let's talk about it. In 2019, the questions like the was a combination of project monitoring and project planning. So let's see what do we have here. Your company has taken over a little over halfway through a long-term project, okay, and it appears that they have not applied effective project management. You decide to do a little fact finding since the schedule cannot be trusted at this time. And you also want to really understand how the project is doing at this moment. After some digging, you verify that you are at the end of its 15. Open the microphone. Okay. Uh, at this moment, after some digging, you verify that you are at the end of the 15th week, okay, of this phase. Draw activity on network, activity on arrows, okay. What is the cost variance, schedule variance, schedule performance index, cost performance index, critical ratio for each activity separately? These questions will not be provided. You need to know, because these questions are quite simple. You need to know the definition. You need to remember the concepts. So please be informed that you need to learn these these equations. These equations will not be provided. Let's talk about it. Let's see. Yeah, the questions were already provided. Cost variance, earned value minus actual cost. Okay, budgeted cost for work performed minus actual cost for work performed. Uh, so how much is it? For activity A, it's actually 8,500 minus 8,000 for the question. Nothing real serious, right? But what about, for example, for activity G? How we can find this minus 300? Can anybody tell me how we can find it? For activity G, 40% of the work is completed. So the EV will be equal to 4 times 0.4 times 9,500, right? How much will it be? Can anybody tell me? It will be $3,800. We expected that 40% of the work cost us about $3,800, but it actually cost us $4,100. It means that uh, we unnecessarily spent $300 on the job so far. How about the schedule variance? The schedule variance is EV minus PV, budgeted cost for work scheduled. So for the name is already there, work scheduled. What does it mean? It means that what day is it? What week is it? The question highlighted that we are at the 15th week. So for activity G, we are at the 15th week. It had started at day 12 or week 12, and the duration was 7. So how many days, how many weeks are we into the activity G? 3 days, 15 minus 12. And how many days was the whole duration? 7 days. So we have basically uh, completed 3/7 of activity G. And how much did we put aside money and budget for each week for this project? Like 3/7, like 1/7 of 9,500. We just basically find it like this. And for the cost performance, EV over AC, again, you need to or like mm, understand these formula. Uh, the next part is please identify possible reasons why this project has such progress considering SPI and CPI. These explanations, these explanations that are provided in here are exactly provided in the slides as well. So please go ahead, learn them, understand them, and see what do they mean. What does it mean that when CPI is over 1? What does it mean when CPI is less than 1? What does it mean if SPI is greater than 1 or lower than 1, smaller than 1? So please go ahead, read it, understand them, and try to, again, do not unnecessarily write, just write and highlight the ideas, nothing more. Last part, what is the estimate to complete and estimate and completion for each activity respectively, if the cost and schedule performance of each activity to date will continue. Okay, here is a very, very, very critical point. The assumption is as if the costs and schedule performance will be continue. Let's go and see why it is important. Uh, because we want to find the ETC again for activity G. If the performance to date has been anomalous, okay, nothing really important. But if the cost performance uh, to date will continue, we need to divide it by the CPI. What does it mean? What is the intuition behind this cost performance to date will continue? It means that for 40% of the job, we have paid $4,100. How much are we gonna pay for the remaining 60%? That's the idea. Got it? Anybody have question for this? If the question says that cost performance to date will continue, it basically says that the cost or the expenditure pattern is going to be similar. So we need to understand it. It means that we have spent for the activity G, we have spent, I'm going to repeat it one more time. We have spent $4,100 for 40% of the job. How much are we going to spend for the remaining 60%? If we are going to spend similarly. But the question said that if the cost and scheduled performance are gonna be the same. So if there is another assumption, you need to use another equation. So just wanted to make sure that you understand the difference between these two. That you need to find it, uh, and then yeah, just try to see how much you're gonna uh, like how much you're gonna have to spend for completion of the projects and tasks. So this is the idea. This is the critical point. If you don't use the correct equation, you will not get any point. In 2019, we had one question, and this question was exactly covered in the assignment and in the text in the slides. I didn't provide solution for this question because basically I didn't have the time, but I provided the equation and provided the slide that was used in the sign in the tutorial. Let's say that, let me see. Oh, yep. Uh, so there was some problems about understanding C and I. ES, as far as I remember, other like SPI, SBT, SPI, they were very easy. The only one that was problematic was the ES. So I just want to like review it. We want to find the ES earn the schedule for month November. It is 8.967. Earned value is provided. It is 24.25. Okay, we have it. We can find the we can put it in the equation to find I. But what about C? We need to come up with this idea. When was the last time that the earned value was was bigger and larger than the budgeted schedule for the budgeted work for the work scheduled? It was August. 2,425 is less than the amount in September, but it's bigger than the amount in August. So this was the critical point and idea. And then because of that, the C, the number of previous time increments where the current EV exceeds the previous PVs, it will be 8. PV of the C of that part of that time is 22,135, and PV of the next period will be for the September for the next one. And once you have all of these numbers, you put them in the equations, and you will find the numbers. Nothing new here. Another question that about EVM and ES in 2020. Again, similar. Explain why being far ahead of a schedule may not be desirable in some cases. It is some kind of like discussion type. Again, do not overwrite. Do not write unnecessarily long essays. Just highlight the main points. What does it mean when the total float is negative and SPI is over than 1? Okay, 5%. The answer is that for the first one, basically the total amount of work that has been done is ahead. SPI is over than more than 1, but the total float is negative. But the overall project is behind the schedule. These are two important parts. What does it mean when SPI is larger than 1? And we have a negative total float. That's it. Then, once you get these points, you can provide a discussion that, yeah, activities and the critical path are behind the schedule. It means that we have spent money on some other non-critical activities. That's it. Uh, the second question was that a schedule variance a schedule variance of zero means that the project is on a schedule. True or false? False, because the total schedule variance could be zero, but the non-critical tasks may be ahead. Again, uh, it wants to examine your understanding. Basically, nothing to memorize, just want to learn your understanding. And for the CPI, SPI, ETCs, again, we have similar equations, similar numbers for the table, nothing new. In 2021, there was another question. It could have been a little bit daunting at the moment when you first see this question, but it is not. Uh, let's see what the question wants from us. The table below shows planned work and progress on a control account having 5 work packages. For each work package and period, the top number in black shows the planned value, and the bottom number in white shows actual value. Okay, actual cost, sorry. Planned duration are shown in gray, completed work in black. Today's date at the end of July is shown in red. Okay. Draw a chart showing planned value, earned value, actual cost, earned schedule as a function of time, showing all value in each month. For today's date, what are the schedule variance, cost variance, schedule? Again, similar formula. As you can see, you definitely need to learn those equations. Those equations will not be provided. I don't know how many more times I should say that. Those equations will not be provided. Remember all of them. Like these 5 equations plus these like 3 questions and other related questions like equations like these ones uh, in this part of the course. Let's do it. It is basically very simple, nothing really important. You just draw a table, chart below it, and then you sum up the values. It was written here that shows planned value for period. Again, if there was something really important, I would have highlighted it for you, but no, there is nothing. It's just basically summed up. 2 plus 2 equals to 4. 5 plus 5 equal to 10. And like 5 plus let's see the 12 actual cost for work performed in month April is 12. It is basically 5 plus 5 plus 2. That's it. Like let's say completed work in black. That's it. The bottom number shows the actual cost. The bottom number is like 552. That's it. Nothing really. You just need to know what his budgeted actual cost ACWP. That's it. Nothing really new here. And the second part were discussion type of questions. I'm gonna review them and let's see if they could be useful for you. Please keep your answers to one short paragraph of a few sentences each. Again, do not really write long essays. Discuss the difference in information content of the total float in CPM and the schedule variance. Okay, I will basically read it. I'm not gonna have anything from myself. I just want to show you the real stuff. The total float in CPM refers to the time that activities that can be postponed or the duration of them can be increased without affecting the total project time. Definition of total float. The total float is applicable to a series of activities in any one path, not any individual activity. The total float, again, another part. Therefore, the total float can be distributed among activities within a path. Okay, the path. CPM allows us to delay some activities without affecting the total project duration. In contrast, a schedule variance is the difference between the work planned and the work accomplished, which could be looked at in terms of time or cost. Uh, SV does not consider whether activities are in critical path or not. This question is basically just asking you to define what is total float. I asked you, and nobody told me what is the definition of total float or free float. I asked you what are the differences between the total float, uh, what are the definition of total float and free float, and nobody did. Please go and study these ones. Uh, Part 2 explain why being far ahead of a schedule may not be desirable in some cases. Again, based on your intuition, if we are far ahead of the schedule, it's perhaps because we have spent a lot of money. If we are far ahead of the schedule, we have some constraint, and our workers, our machines need to be idle without any job to do. Or if we have been really fast, perhaps the quality was really bad. So let's read it. Projects are subject to constraint in budget, schedule, and scope. Yeah, okay. Even if you didn't write this first question, you nothing would happen. The success of a project depends on the balance of these constraints and the maximum realization of the project objectives. Okay. While being far ahead means the scheduled goal of the project is achieved, it may bring about the overspending of the budget. That's the that's one key point. Lower quality, that's another key point, or other problems. Being far ahead of the schedule may imply that resources could have been better used. Yes, elsewhere in the company, or that costs could have been reduced overall. It relates to the overspending of the budget. Finally, being far ahead of the schedule may bring forth logistical problem, another issue. So even if you had written three simple, like, because of we have overspent the budget, we overspent the budget, or we had lower quality, or another problem with the logistical problems, you would get the whole point. So the key points are important. The not the paragraph itself. Part 3, what does it mean when total float is negative and SPI is greater than 1? What does it mean when total float is positive and SPI is lower than 1? I'm going to read it them both to you. Basically, the amount of work that has been done is ahead because SPI is greater than 1. But the overall project is behind the schedule since the activities. This is basically the previous question in the previous year. Mm, like it's the same one, the same question here. The next one is also exactly the opposite of this one. So I hope you could get the whole idea of how the exam is gonna be. There will be definitely uh, some questions about the EVM and ES that you need to calculate and you need to find the numbers. You need to memorize the formula because they are not really hard formula, they are just concepts. There might be questions about like discussion questions. Uh, there will be definitely a decision theory type question. Again, I should highlight it. because there is simple calculation underlying in these questions. Your understanding will be graded, not your calculation. Definitely, you need to do the simple calculation, but if you have a wrong understanding, then uh, you will not be rewarded. For the scheduling questions are typical, nothing really hard, nothing really complex. Uh, Please go ahead and please read and understand how to formulate an objective function for crashing the projects. Uh, you might lose some grades here if you don't have a like proper understanding of these equations. And for the engineering economy, there are basically not many complex ideas here. Just to highlight it again, look carefully and pay attention to the expected life. Although we had, we needed to find economic life uh, in one question, uh, you basically don't need to. You there is a tiny chance that you need to do it for the final exam. But remember, Dr. Shu might be interested in this, and even maybe because of this sentence of mine, he might give you a question for that. There was an interpolation problem. Make sure that you write down your like the range of the interest rate that you want to like find out. If you find it using the methodology that I told you during the tutorial, that is also fine. If you find it using the interpolation method, that is also fine. And yeah, that's it, pretty much it. If you um, really know how to solve all the examples in the slides, you basically can get a very good grade. Also, I need to emphasize on this one more time. Uh, this year, the questions will be based on the valid interest rates or the years. They are going to be based on variables x, y, z. X, y, z represent the last three digits of your student number. If it's like 389, then XYZ for you will be like X will be 3, Y will be 8, Z will be 9. Also, you will be asked to write it big in your uh, papers. So there wouldn't be any confusion about this. And like I said, there will be a Google form will be provided to you after the exam, and you will get extra mark, at least 5 points. You will receive at least 5 points if you fill out the Google form. Uh, if you fill out an answer that was not the same or was not exactly the one that you provided in your uh, answer sheet, then you will lose that extra mark. You need to be be, I shouldn't say honest. You need to pay attention to the details. So, uh, yeah. Uh, if there is any question, please do let me know. Let's talk about them. If not, I wish you the best of luck. I hope these tools could be useful for your personal life because they are really useful actually. When you want to just fill out tax forms, when you want to assess buying a car, when you want to buy a home, when you want to sell a car, all these simple ideas can be useful even for your personal life. Please do let me know if you have any questions. If not, yeah. May I ask in the final, can I print the exam paper out? Uh, it should be fine. I don't have any. I am not the one who have a say in this question. Uh, Honestly, I asked Dr. Shu to make the exam mm, open book, open everything, open communication, open Google. But apparently, based on the university regulations and the regulation that are set by the department, we don't have much saying in these type of questions. We need to follow the rules. Uh, but I think it should be fine. It shouldn't be like a big problem. But please uh, be reminded, ask this question from Dr. Shu. He's the main lecturer. Okay, I'm gonna wait 2 more minutes, and if no questions, you can finish it. Good luck, everyone. Hope you found this course and the tutorial sessions, especially tutorial sessions, useful. Yeah, because I presented them. I'm sure the course material is useful for you, and you wish you best of luck. And I'm sure I think most of you are final year students. Wish you the best of luck in your life. Take care and bye bye.